Well, hello and welcome to another episode of Life Lessons. And once again, I'm riding a motorcycle. Beautiful day outside, partly cloudy. I think the weather forecasters have turned that phrase into partly sunny. For some reason, they think that it's more positive thinking. I guess, I don't know. Either way, it's a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous day. Had to get out on the bike again today, and I wanted to share some thoughts with you. Another life lesson. I wonder how many of you would admit that from time to time you overthink things. Anybody? Yeah, I know I do. It's not all the time, but a lot of times I overthink things, and it raises my blood pressure. It creates anxiety. It does a lot of things, and I'm not suggesting that you and I will ever be free of doing that. But I think with what I'm going to share with you today in this podcast about overthinking, getting rid, letting go of overthinking and gaining trust. Letting go of overthinking and gaining trust. I think the things that I'm going to share with you today, I think apply to all of us, whether you're an overthinker or not. Now, I'm not talking about someone who has what is known as an obsessive compulsive disorder. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about worrying and fretting and keeping you from doing the things that you want to do. Overthinking things. I shared with you a couple weeks ago that I currently teach students in the psychology sociology department at East Central College, and one of the things that I tell them before a time of testing is don't overthink it. Don't overthink it, because the more you overthink it, you tend to then make what I call a knee-jerk decision. Okay, so I want to talk about that today: how to let go of overthinking and begin to trust. First of all, I think we need to recognize that our thoughts can be deceptive. Our thoughts can be deceptive. Reality, because of sometimes the way our overthinking brain works, can distort reality. Overthinking can distort reality. Okay, you might imagine something that is not real. Now, I'm not talking about being delusional or anything like that. Okay, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about imagining the worst, always imagining the worst, overthinking. Okay, so for instance, if I'm preparing to do a podcast, whether it's in the studio or out here on the bike, I have to watch myself that I don't overthink whatever the topic is. Okay, sometimes I just kind of let go and stream of consciousness kind of thing. I just start talking. So Paul says it this way, that we are to cast down imaginations and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing into captivity every thought. Bringing into captivity every thought. Now, sometimes we interpret that, and rightfully so, I mean, it has validity, about sinful behaviors. Okay? But that's not what I'm talking about here, although it could be included. I'm not talking about that here. What I'm talking about is overthinking things, bringing into captivity. You and I control our thoughts, okay? We control our behaviors. So we may not be able to control what comes in, but we can control what happens to it when it's there. Okay, get that? So, overthinking, okay, recognize that the thoughts that enter our head, enter our mind, can be deceptive. Is this really the situation? Did they really, do they really not like me? Do they really hate me? Yeah, on and, whatever the case might be. Okay? So recognize, first of all, that your thoughts may be deceptive. Number two is shift your focus from worry to worship. Okay? Now, an overthinker knows when they've lapsed into worry. Okay? An overthinker, okay, they recognize when, I've had, clients that'll tell me, yeah, I know when I go from overthinking something to start worrying. Okay, it could be, fill in the blank. It could be anything. Okay, it could be any kind of situation. So shift your focus from worry to worship. Okay, so we live according to what we focus on. Okay, so while I'm riding here, I'm focused on several different things. I'm focused on the road, focused on traffic behind me, focused on the sides. I'm constantly checking rear view mirror. Plus, I'm talking to you guys. Okay. But if I start worrying about, I've got two cars behind me, and there's a curve up ahead, and I would never get out on the bike. Okay. If I start focusing on the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, my life will be miserable. Okay. Get rid of the coulda, shoulda, wouldas. Turn your worry into worship. Now, I know that sounds kind of cliche, but what do I mean by worship? You and I cannot focus on and overthink things and worry about things and worship God at the same time. Now, do I have to go to a church building or a synagogue or a cathedral to worship? No. Nope. Can I worship in my car? Yes. Can I worship out here on a bike? Absolutely can. Okay? And sometimes the most meaningful kinds of things are when you get out, can I worship while I'm jogging? Right, you can. Can I worship when I'm walking, in the park or walking in the woods? Yep, you can. Not to the exclusion of getting together with other believers to worship, corporate worship. So, secondly, not only do we need to recognize that we need to alter our thinking, but we need to shift our focus from worry to worship. Number three, and this is a big one, we need to trust that God is in control. God is in control. Wow. See, I want to be in control. Okay, I want to be in control of things. I want to be in control of situations, circumstances, and people, right? I want to be in control of all of it. When in reality, the reality is we're not in control of anything. We're in control of nothing. I can't control the weather, even though there are those who say that, we can. No, we can't. If they're forecasting rain for tomorrow and clouds, starts getting cloudy and the clouds start getting dark, and I can't make that go away. Maybe I've got a picnic planned and I want beautiful weather and it's raining. I can't make that go away. Okay? God is in control. And the sooner we accept that God is in control of all things, the less we will overthink things. Now, there's this phrase that particularly believers use. Well, you know what? I'm just gonna give it. Name it. I'm just gonna give it to God. Really? You're gonna do that? Okay. Now, the moment you do, and then you pick it back up again, what have you done? You figure it out. Okay? If you're going to give it to God and recognize that God's in control, then okay, go live your life, go to work, do the things, take care of your family, do those things that you're supposed to be doing anyway, and let God take care of what God can take care of. which is everything. He may not take care of it in the form and fashion and time that we want, but He can take care of it because, stop and think about it. I marvel at, I've shared before, I love spring, and I just marvel every spring, how things the grass begins to green up, trees begin to leaf out. We've got a gazillion flowers in our yard, and the flowers begin to bloom. I begin to cut grass, and if I'm lucky, I don't cut any of Viola's flowers down, because then, there's a price to pay for that. I digress. So we need to trust that God is in control. I cannot control. Now there are certain. I can control whether I worry or not. I can control that. I can control whether I trust God or not. Okay. But when you start overthinking things, listen to me. I want to make a bold statement. When you start overthinking things, you're trying to play your own God. Well, that's a nice thing. You're trying to play your own God. You're trying to be God of your own life. And I got to tell you, folks, that ain't going to work. It never, ever, ever will work. Okay? So we need to recognize, first of all, that our thoughts can be deceptive. Number 2, shift your focus from worry to worship. Number 3, trust that God is in control. And finally, number 4, replace overthinking with God's truth. Okay, so here's an exercise. Watch this. Okay, so I'm overthinking whatever it is I'm overthinking. If I tell myself, okay, I'm going to stop thinking about that. I'm not going to think about that anymore. I'm going to stop thinking about that. Yep, I'm going to stop thinking about that. What am I actually doing? I'm thinking about that. So the objective here is to replace the overthinking thought, there's a word for you, overthinking thought, with a new thought. And what better way to do that than looking to Scripture to do that? For instance, you're overthinking, a decision that you have to, a task that you have. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. There you go. Start thinking about that. Well, I made X, Y, Z mistake, and I just feel apart from God. Jeremiah 29. I have loved you with an everlasting love. Okay? That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. So you replace the negative overthinking, worrying, negative thinking with God's truth. The psalmist said, no, it was actually Isaiah. I'm sorry. Isaiah said, you will keep in perfect peace, listen now, the mind that is set or stayed on you. Wow. You will keep in perfect peace the mind that is set or stayed on you. Wow. How significant is that? So you replace whatever you're overthinking, whatever you're worrying about, whatever you're fretting about, you replace that with Scripture. And if you just pray this prayer, God, show me a passage of Scripture that applies to my situation, He will do that. Now, He's not going to automatically send a piece of paper down and, boom, there you got Scripture. No. You have to search, but He will guide you to where to look. It's amazing how He does that. Whatever's on your mind, whatever you're worrying about, whatever you're fretting about, whatever you're overthinking, God, I want to just trust You in this, and He will lead you to a passage like Isaiah, where He says, you will keep him in peace, perfect peace, whose mind is set or stayed on You. Wow. So this week, when you start overthinking something, I want you to go back, if you haven't written these down while we've been talking, I want you to go back and look at this again. Listen to this again. Maybe listen to it while you're on the way to work. Watch it, before you go to sleep at night. Watch it before you get up in the morning. And refresh your mind about what I've been talking about today. So how to go from overthinking, worrying, to trusting God. That's what it's all about. Okay? Listen, I want to thank you for riding along with me again today on this beautiful, gorgeous days. We've been just kind of trucking around on the back roads here, on the side roads, just loving the beautiful weather, loving just being out here on the bike. I trust that this has been meaningful to you. I trust that you'll be able to carry this life lesson with you throughout the rest of the week and throughout the month and throughout the rest of your life. God bless you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you right back here next week. God bless you. Have a great day.